Well, XRP's price has been absolutely sending for the last couple weeks, pushing up towards new regional highs, giving many XRP holders hope that this may finally be the moment that XRP's price pushes up towards $5, $10, or maybe even higher. And I'm not going to lie, I actually do feel that excitement as well. What you got to realize is that XRP was dormant for a very, very long time. And if you just cut out what happened in 2021, which was minuscule, by the way, but if you just cut out what happened in 2021, XRP was dormant from like 2018 to 2024. And the reality here is that many people, including myself, we had a lot of doubts in here. We had a lot of doubts of whether or not XRP was going to ever make a move back. And then it did. Now, even after it made this move towards the end of last year, as things started to slow down, especially throughout the last, 6-7 months, I got a little bit nervous during this, guys. I wasn't tripping out about it. I mean, I wasn't freaking out, but I definitely did get a little bit nervous about the fact that XRP had basically just went sideways for 7 months, because it'll start to kind of make those questions pop in your head like, dang, like, is this another moment where XRP's price is just going to go flat and stable and be stuck here for a couple years, or is it actually going to move with the market? And what I told you all consistently was, listen, when XRP's price does start to, make a move, finally, it'll be very telling, because when the crypto market gives us some gains, if XRP's price doesn't match those gains, we might be entering into another period where things do get a little bit ugly for XRP again. And I didn't think that was the case, but it was a good thought to at least consider, especially if you are holding a pretty sizable bag. Because I mean, my personal average cost is right under 50 cents, like 48 cents or so roughly. So yeah, when you're up a couple 100%, it's natural to have those thoughts. But gladly, XRP just hit it out the park. And whenever the market did start to pump, especially over the last month and a half, roughly, we saw XRP follow through, up around 45%, smashing up towards $316 billion in fully diluted valuation. So absolutely killing it there. Now, one thing that I have told you all consistently as this has been happening and as we have been seeing XRP play out is like, look, if we want to really see XRP hit that next level, like if we want to see that 500 billion mark-ish, half a trillion mark-ish for XRP, there's a couple things it needs to do. And one of the biggest things that I've told you all over and over and over again was that we need to see the more ecosystemic side of XRP really start to thrive. I don't think XRP can hit 500 billion or a trillion relying solely on the use cases that it has right now. I think there can be a lot of opportunity if XRP can tap into the ecosystem a little bit more with XRPL, and that's something we've been watching closely. And if you go look at XRPL over on DeFi Llama, you can actually see that starting to play out. We saw that run in October, November, as we did start to see a little bit of value on XRPL, but it did go flat, right? It did go flat for the last couple months, and then it had a little bit of chop throughout May, but it is finally running. And XRPL's TVL is actually higher now than it's been in the last couple years, which is a great sign. And all this means is that the actual XRP ledger, right, the actual blockchain itself is starting to grow, and people are actually starting to use it. And I think that's a hidden use case that people don't talk about enough, because if people can actually start using its blockchain, then we'll see XRP have even more utility outside of the core utilities it has now, opening up more intrinsic value, possibly pushing the price higher. So I've told you all this a whole bunch. And what I wanted to focus on today is not only just the fact that we are seeing XRPL growing, which is a great sign that we are finally seeing some ecosystemic development from XRP, but actually what we are seeing happening on XRPL right now with DeXRP. Now, DeXRP is a company that I heard about first through my company. As many of you know, I run one of the biggest creator relations agencies in all of crypto, and all that means is like we manage a bunch of YouTubers, we handle a bunch of sponsored campaigns, all that good stuff, right? And I heard about DeXRP. They popped up on my radar again about 3 weeks ago or so roughly, because they were doing a lot of noise making. I mean, they're out there, they're running marketing, they're spending big money. And I was like, who is this, right? They have to be doing something interesting. Then I realized that they're building on XRPL. And I was like, oh, snap. Okay, this is what I've been talking about on my channel. This could actually be a big opportunity. So what I did is I reached out to the team and I was like, hey, like, what's going on? Tell me about it. They told me a lot more about the company, what they're planning on doing. And I actually did like it. And I did like it to the fact and to the extent that I actually did add the DXP token, which is currently in pre-sale, to my bag of microcaps and pre-sales, because I do believe that if XRPL can see growth, that DeXRP is going to see growth, which will bring DXP, which is the native token, up as well. And so today I'm going to tell you a little bit about them. Again, I do have a bit of a vested interest because I do hold some of the DXP bag, and they have done work with my company. So I'm always trying to be fully transparent, just so you put it out there. But if I hadn't invested into it, I wouldn't be talking about it. So hopefully that kind of bridges that gap for you. So what they're going to be doing is they're going to be building the very first DEX built for Ripple's XRP ledger. And again, that's where the opportunity lies for XRP in my opinion. So I think it's an absolutely fantastic plan. And what they plan on doing is combining blazing fast transactions, ultra low fees, and deep liquidity to deliver an institutional grade trading experience for everyone, from newcomers to pro traders. And this is what I wanted to talk about for a second. This is important. Too many of these DEXs focus on newbies or pros. They don't bridge the gap. There's no middle ground. It's always directed at one. And I always think it's a bad idea. It makes no sense. Why would you isolate an entire, kind of population within crypto? It's dumb. They don't do that. They've built it to where there's like it's not binary. It's both. Like you can kind of go between the two of them, right? And the way in which they do it is through, of course, smart liquidity routing, dual trading modes, and of course they do have advanced order types for the pros. And I'll talk about some of these features a little bit later on. But they do have the options, that are needed for people no matter where they are in their journey, which I think is extremely important. Now, some of the key pieces of the ecosystem that I think you should see if we go down here is that there's going to be a real-time analytics dashboard, as you can see. There's a dual trading system in which AMM meets order book, so you can swap instantly or place precision trades with advanced order types. So you can do a quick swap if you're new. You can do advanced precision trades if you're not new. Again, bridging the gap. They have ultra-fast settlements. It's XRP, of course they do. Dynamic fee control, advanced order types, smart liquidity routing, which is very important, and regulatory-ready transparency, which, of course, knowing XRP's history is a massive thing if you're building on XRPL. You're going to be able to relate to the crowd better if you have that, okay? And so with that in mind, I mean, they're building a good DEX and not just kind of like a crappy DEX that just gets thrown together very fast. No, it's a good DEX. And it actually touches on the key points of XRPL and some of the problems we've seen with some of the other popular DEXs that have gained popularity recently. Now, at the core of this DEX, they're going to have a token. And the token, as I mentioned before, is the DXP token, which is currently in its pre-sale. And I do think it's a great opportunity. I think it'll probably perform well as long as obviously the market continues to trend in the right direction. And it is going to be launching relatively soon. It's one of the ones where every certain amount of time, the price of it goes up. So the earlier in you are, the better prices you get. The later in you are, the worse prices you get. So there's obviously a little bit of demand supply there, right? Or supply and demand there. But they've done a really good job. Over $1 million raised. Over 2,648 investors. And I think that's huge. I mean, think about the fact that XRPL only has $80 million in TVL. That's a big raise, right? I mean, that's a ginormous raise, actually. That's bringing a lot of liquidity over to XRPL, and I think there's a great opportunity there for it. Now, the token is very, very simple, but it is very impactful, and I think it's important. It's going to be, of course, used as the native token of the DEX, so whenever you need to use the DEX, you, of course, can use the token for advanced features and perks and things of that nature. There's going to be governance. There's going to be buybacks and burns so that your token is actually increasing in value as a result of reduction in supply. And then, of course, they are going to, as I mentioned before, allow you to use it for additional perks and features that will make your use or user experience on the actual platform better. So it's a native token of a DEX, like any native token of a DEX is, but it's just actually a good one. And the tokenomics look totally fine to me. They put 25% towards the public sale, which is more than most do, 15% towards liquidity, which is great, 10% towards staking and rewards, which is another use case of the token. Ecosystem partnerships at 10% is fine. Team and advisors, 10% is fine. 12% towards marketing community is great, and I've actually seen them run this marketing, and they do a very good job at it. Keeping 9% in the reserve, 6% towards research and development. I think that's totally fine as well. And then 3% towards airdrop and bounty programs, which is great. Some people do this at 10%. I absolutely despise that. I think 3% or less is great. And so that's what they're doing. And so overall, I mean, they've put all of the pieces together in a very good way. And this is one of the exciting things about crypto is that as we start to see the crypto market develop and go forward, a lot of these companies are going to just stop making the same old mistakes, right? They're going to be able to look at 2021, 22, 23, 24 and say, okay, what companies launched? What mistakes did they make? What did people like? What did people not like? And build on top of the shoulders of the people who came before them. And this is a great example of that. There's no major flaws. There's nothing big that I can see that's wrong with it on the surface. And it's just because they've learned from the mistakes of the people before them. And so they know how to approach this thing, right? And so with that in mind, I mean, I think it's great. And that's why I did invest into them. That's why I did work with them through my company. It's why I did partner with them personally. And I think that there's going to be a big opportunity here. And obviously, if the crypto market tanks, XRP's price tanks and goes down, yeah, it might not be fantastic for the DXP XRP price. Don't get me wrong, but that's a risk that I'm willing to take. And I actually am shuffling a little bit of my profits from XRP over into the DXP because I think it's a way that I can compound a bit there. Because I think a 10x from DXP is reasonable, whereas a 10x from XRP is going to be much more difficult because it's like $3 trillion, right? So with that in mind, of course, that's kind of my play and that's what I'm doing. Let me know down in the comments below, what do you guys think? Do you like it? Do you not like it? I know the XRP community can be very kind of, you guys will just decide you don't like something and that's just the choice, or you like something and that's just a choice. So I wonder if it's meshing well with you, if it's sticking well with you. Let me know down in the comments below. And while you are down there, feel free to go check it out. It will be linked in the description. And I can't wait to see you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.